Hi, I'm Bob, and welcome to this crash course in Talon, an accessible fleet tactical combat game designed by Jim Krohn and published by GMT Games. Talon is easy to learn and plays quickly with 2 to 6 players. You can have large fleet battles in one sitting without referencing charts or log sheets. All of the important information is at your fingertips, at a glance, on the map. The goal of this video is to teach you the basics of Talon in order to get you playing as quickly as possible. The Talonverse is a brand new universe in which this game takes place. In it, the human Terran Confederation, they're the blue ships, has just recently made contact with the mysterious and aggressive Talon, they're the orange ships. Soon, the Terran find themselves fighting in a desperate struggle to defend Earth. Talon doesn't use miniatures. It instead uses large laminated counters. The counters are laminated so you can mark and write ship stats directly onto the counter. Let's take a look at what's on a ship counter. The green bars represent a ship's shields. There are 4 shield bars on a ship, and they absorb damage coming from a given direction. When a shield bar is completely depleted, incoming damage would then be placed on the hull. The red bar at the bottom is a ship's hull. Once all the hull boxes are marked off, the ship explodes and is destroyed. You'll note some numbers appear in some of the boxes. This represents a ship losing power due to damage. More on that later. Also, those yellow boxes indicate critical damage. When a ship takes damage, you just mark off that number of boxes with the dry erase marker. Here, the battlecruiser took 5 damage to its right shield. All 4 shield boxes are marked off, then the 5th point of damage is marked on the hull. Weapons are represented by these blue boxes. The icon in the box is the weapon type. The white arrows show you which directions the weapon can fire, and the bars above the weapon show its charge. Some weapons are grouped, like the disruptors on the left, or the missiles on the right. That means the nearby charge bar represents all of the weapons in that group. Weapons normally start a battle charged, and this is indicated by marking off the boxes in the charge bar. When weapons are fired, these marks get erased. Red boxes represent the time it takes to charge a weapon. Yellow boxes represent the power needed to fire a weapon. More on charging weapons later. Some ships have special abilities like batteries or afterburners. The big white box and circle at the bottom is where you will write a ship's power curve. The power curve tells you how much power a ship gets, how fast it moves, and, within this circle, how sharply it turns. Normally, this battlecruiser has a starting power curve of 3, 3, 1. That means 3 for power, 3 for speed, and a turning radius of 1. More on that in a moment. Game turns are divided into something called impulses. If you've played a game called Starfleet Battles, then you may be familiar with this concept. However, there's a chance you've never played a game like this before, so I'll walk you through the basics. The impulse display is your turn tracker and quick reference for everything that you can do in the span of a round. Gameplay is divided into 6 impulses, lettered A through F. The numbers that we wrote on our power curve a moment ago correspond to numbers that you see here in the impulse box. Every time that you see a number on the impulse chart that corresponds to a number in the white box on a ship, that ship gets to use power, or what we call available power, or AP, or the ship may need to move. So, our battlecruiser that had a power curve of 3, 3, 1 would get AP in impulse B, D, and F, and would be able to move in impulse B, D, and F. So you see, your speed isn't how far you move at once, it's how frequently you move during a round. If its power curve was instead 4, 2, 1, it would get AP in impulses A, C, D, and F. However, it would only move in impulse C and F. Nothing happens simultaneously in the game. One player, usually the Talon player, has the initiative, while the other player is the second player. The initiative player takes his actions first during a given impulse. Each impulse, a player removes any of his shield reinforcement markers that expire this turn, and we'll explain that more in a minute, uses any or all AP for each of his ships that receive AP this impulse, in any order, move all of his ships that must move this impulse in any order. Note that moving is not optional. May fire any and all ships that have fully charged weapon groups. Note that you don't need to have AP or move to fire a weapon. And finally, may attempt to repair any ships with the critical damage icon. There may be impulses where a player can't or doesn't want to do any of those actions. Those impulses can be quickly skipped. Let's talk about how to use AP. AP is a powerful resource. There's never enough of it to go around. You can spend AP on shield reinforcement, charging a yellow box on a weapon, enabling your ship to side slip, which is like strafing, powering through a turn, which lets you turn more sharply, charging a battery on some ships, and change or defend the initiative. A shield arc can be reinforced with AP. This gives a shield 1 extra hit point, and the shield must not be completely depleted. To reinforce a shield, place the counter on the shield arc you are reinforcing. The counter should have a letter matching the current impulse. Shield reinforcements wear off exactly 6 impulses after you place it, and you can only have so many shield reinforcements on a ship. Specifically, half of your power number rounded down. Weapon yellow boxes can be charged with AP. This helps get your weapons ready to fire faster. 1 yellow box is marked off. This is called active charging. Weapons can be passively charged too, but I'll explain that later. You don't need to have any red boxes marked off in order to do this. The red and yellow boxes are charged separately. Ships normally either move straight or turn. However, with AP, you can enable a ship to side slip. This allows the ship to shift to one side while facing the same direction. Just place the side slip counter on the ship to indicate this, and you may side slip during that ship's next movement. It can sometimes take a while for a ship to finish turning. To speed this up, you can spend AP to pull a turn radius marker closer to you. More on turning in a little bit. Some Terran ships have batteries that store AP for later use. These are charged with AP. Normally, the Talon player starts with the initiative. However, AP can be spent to effectively bid for initiative. If you want to change the initiative, use an AP to place a change initiative marker on that ship. If you do not want the initiative to change, you can spend an AP to place a defend initiative marker on a ship. This represents sensors in electronic warfare being used to manage the tempo of a battle. If, at the end of an impulse, there are more change initiative markers on the board than defend initiative markers, the initiative flips. Otherwise, it stays the same. You can force somebody to become the initiative player. Let's talk about moving next. Whenever a ship's speed occurs on the impulse chart, it must move. A ship can go straight, turn, or, if it was previously marked, side slip. To turn, first rotate the ship counter 1 hex side to the left or right, then push it forward 1 hex. Finally, place a turn radius counter in front of the ship. The number of hexes in front should equal the ship's turn radius number. This is how far a ship must move before it can turn again. If a ship moves into its turn radius marker, the marker is removed from the board, and the ship may choose to turn again later on. Don't forget, you can use AP to pull that turn radius marker in faster, or sideslip. If you sideslip while you have a turn radius marker out, the turn radius marker is shifted in the same direction and moved 1 hex closer. So what happens if ships run into each other? The hexes in this game represent big areas of space. Thankfully, when 2 ships from opposing sides enter the same hex, nothing happens. They are too close to fire on each other too. However, since these ships have specially tuned near faster than light drives, they can cause interference, but only with ships of the same faction. This means you can only collide with friendly ships. If a friendly ship runs into another friendly ship, both ships take 3 damage on the shield facing the other ship. Alright, let's talk about firing lasers. A weapon group can only fire if the charge bar, all yellow and red boxes, is fully charged or marked off. Ships normally start scenarios with all weapons fully charged. Once a weapon fires, the charge bar is completely erased, and all weapons in a group may fire. After firing, no weapon in that group can fire again until its bar is fully charged. Individual weapons within a group can select different targets. You can't fire on your own ships. I mean, seriously, why would you? Other ships do not block fire. To resolve fire, roll a 6-sided die and consult the weapons chart on the player aid card that matches the weapon you just fired to see how much damage, if any, was dealt. Each weapon in a group rolls its own die separately. These are the firing arcs, and they correspond to the white arrows around your weapon groups. You can only select targets within the arcs and within your weapon's firing range, which is on the player aid card. So how do you know which shield side you hit? It's easy. You don't need to go drawing lines of sight or anything like that. The shield arcs and weapon arcs are the same. Take a look at this. I'm firing on this frigate. It's in my forward firing arc. I, on the other hand, am in the frigate's left side firing arc. This means that my shot will hit the frigate's left shields. There are some other examples on the back of the player aid card too. As hull boxes get marked off with damage, a yellow critical box may get marked off. When this happens, stop marking off damage and immediately roll 2 dice on the critical hit chart. This can result in status effects or even the instant destruction of the ship. Some status effect counters have a repair icon. This means that every impulse, that ship can roll a 6-sided die to try and fix the critical effect. If you roll a 6, the effect goes away. Those numbers in the hull boxes represent power loss from taking damage. The leftmost visible number is applied to your power rating in the next power phase. We'll talk about that in a minute. Ships blow up when they are destroyed. Ships that are sharing a hex with the exploding ship and all adjacent ships take damage equal to the ship's explosion rating, which is on the player aid card. Ships in the same hex take 1 extra damage as well. After impulse F, the power phase occurs. In it, the initiative player, then the second player, can charge weapons without using AP and adjust your power curve. First, for each charge bar on each ship, either passively charge yellow boxes or charge 1 red box. Weapons passively charge over time. If no red box needs to be marked off for a weapon group, you may instead mark off yellow boxes equal to the number of weapons in that group. So this cruiser can charge 2 yellow boxes since it has 2 disruptors in each weapon group. Each ship's power curve can be adjusted by 1 step. Look at the player aid card for your ship to determine what the new power curve will be if you decide to speed up or slow down. Speeding up means you'll have less power and your turns may get wider. Slowing down means you will have more power and can turn more sharply. If a ship has a number in the leftmost visible hull box because of damage, you must modify your new power value by that amount. If your power is ever negative, your ship immediately breaks apart and explodes. Let's talk about batteries. AP can be spent to charge a battery. They do not normally start the game charged. During an impulse, if a given ship does not get AP, you can use your battery to get AP and spend it as normal. This can be very powerful, especially for flipping the initiative. You can never get more than one AP during an impulse. Afterburners are a Talon special ability. On any impulse when a ship is not scheduled to move, an afterburner can be marked off to allow that ship to move as normal. You can never move more than one hex during an impulse. Talon afterburners can be used from the start of battle. However, once both afterburners are marked off, they are gone for the remainder of combat. You're all set to play the first couple scenarios. Beyond that, you'll need to check out the advanced rules, which add fighters, missiles, terrain, and other awesome weapons like the fusion cannon and the wave motion gun. Well, that does it for this crash course. Hope you enjoyed the game, and good luck out there.